MVP, minimum viable
But
product.
the whole time, the MVP is there, and then you test it. You test it. Can I get $1 for it? And because we want to really see people bring change, we're living in a society where we all got to change our mind and the way that we look at the world.
Welcome to one of our first innovation sessions of DNA Supersystems, and where we will just be chatting about the latest technology, a couple of tips and tricks of the trade that we've picked up. We have the privilege to have Juan.C Nel, our founder, on today. And we're not going to waste any time. We really want to get into valuable content out there. And what we are going to talk about today is MVP, minimum viable product. John, I'm just going to throw it over to you. This is your area of expertise, being in digital transformation and helping companies achieve their goals via just transforming into a digital powerhouse. So you can take it away. What is an MVP and what it's all about? Yeah, excited to hear.
Awesome. Andre, yeah, great. This is shows that we will be broadcasting as from every Thursday into our different communities, and it's called the innovation sessions. And so what we're looking at is various innovative techniques and concepts and strategies that you as an entrepreneur can use. And for each person that is out there that you are looking how to get your ideas into the market, how to scale your ideas, there are certain strategies and concepts that we will release within this that will add value to your life. So we would like you to just go into the comments and ask us questions as well concerning what certain topics would you guys like to see in the future. That's one of the things we also would like. So MVP, this is not your most valuable player for those who think it's about a casino. And you go to the casino and you get an MVP gold card, and it's because you are enriching the casino. That's not the MVP, not the most valuable player. It's not the MVP player on a rugby team or a football team or a cricket team. But MVP is really what we call minimum viable product, Andre. There's a whole concept behind it of developing and actually bringing to market. So if you have an idea that you want to bring to market or a concept, and we all have this, we see things in our mind and our experience and the solutions that we see because there's some unique solutions in you. And then you have this idea, but a lot of people never take the idea to market. It stays a dream. It stays in the invisible world. It stays as a concept in their mind and it never manifests in the physical world because they don't understand MVP. It's called minimum viable product, Andre.
Awesome. Sorry, I'm just catching up on Facebook and making sure it's shared to all the different groups. Um, it's the first time I heard about this concept was about a year ago when we first no it's been 2 years now. Oh, I'm still back in 2020. Can you believe it? Okay, it's about 2 years. It's crazy how time
2020
flies. But
damage.
when you spoke about MVP and launching your minimum viable product, and then I remember you recommended a book called Exponential Organizations, and the other one was Lean Startup, and that's where I learned more about the MVP. But for the guys out there, why is it important to have an MVP and not to procrastinate or just have your mind set on having this ultimate achieved product or service to go out and if you are willing to share a bit about your MVP, how I mean DNA superheroes came from a small little concept to this master house servicing over close to 5,000 people in its lifetime. I think it's more, but yeah, if you wanted to branch out on that, how MVP looked in your own life and business life, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think, thank you, man. I think first important is to understand what it is MVP and why it's so important to your business and what you are doing. So I'll share a short little presentation just to give everybody a visual about why it's important. So MVP is the following to understand it is that anytime you want to start up something, a startup means any idea that you want to start up, you want to take something to market, there's some product, there's some solution, there's something that you see that other people don't see that's unique to you. And the common one is the one on the left. When you start up, you actually go into stealth mode. You don't want people to know what you're doing because they're going to steal your idea. You see, this is the misconception um, that's out there, is that
Sort of the
people
man
always,
is listening. Watch out, the man. He's going to take your
yeah, I
idea.
see his WhatsApp is coming up here on the screen.
Uh,
So, but then people go into fear mode, and what fear mode does is it actually restricts the creative abilities that you do have. And you go into stealth, and you go, nobody must know. I must keep this secret. And as you go into secret, you develop this thing based upon your limited understanding and the framework of this concept. Because we all have to face it, we have limited knowledge, limited experience concerning this new thing that we're seeing. And the biggest problem that people have is they go into this maximum vision, provision, MVP. This is going to be maximum vision and it's going to give a lot of provision to my life. And they dream up this thing that I'm going to make gazillions of dollars and rands. And then they develop something, spend money into that product, and they go to the pivot point. And at the pivot point, there's this disillusionment of it doesn't meet the expectations and you fall short of the goal. That's a common startup. That's something that came through the third industrial revolution. Um, and then then later on they found out that, okay, really, we have to develop some products never just made it. I mean, you can just go take a look at some of the stupid ideas that people have developed. I mean, 2020 I've learned is that there's some real sickness. There's stupidity and there's ignorance. For ignorance you can cure. You give the right knowledge and understanding and application, your ignorance goes away. But for stupidity, there's no pill, there's nothing that you can give for stupidity. So um, the lean startup is, Andre, is that you start with an idea and you say, what's the minimum viable product? If I can make the minimum one and I can exchange it, if I can make $1, then if I can get somebody to pay me $1, I can get another person to pay me $1. That is the minimum viable product of your concept. And as you launch it, you go through various pivot points, various launches, MVP1, MVP2, MVP3, MVP4, till you get to the desired goal. Now, just to quickly understand that, if I go here to build, you actually start with an idea. It's a concept. There's a preset, a concept, something that forms in you, and you start to research and you're excited about it, and you do a provisional patent or whatever it is, and then you build something. But build it to bring it to market as quick as possible. It's normally 6 weeks, minimum 6 weeks. You've got to be able to bring an MVP to market. Otherwise, it's not an MVP. It's not going to be. It's not going to be a prototype that you can actually use and test, because it's all about that testing, that measure. The measure is the feedback loops. It's where you get feedback from people. You start giving it away for free. And as the people get away for free, they're going to say, this is great value. Or they're going to say, no, thank you.
yeah.
And once you use the free feedback loops, you actually develop your product. And because people come with their experiences, their insight, and they tell you things that you don't understand about your product. And they become co-creators of your product. And this is where you can't be an inferior type of person and worry, I've got to be in stealth mode, who's going to steal my stuff? And then you use the data that you measured and you learn from that and you incorporate into your ideas and you build again and launch your second pivot point, your second MVP. And you follow this cycle the whole time. You loop around in this cycle. And the traditional way of product is, we're going to build cakes. So let's build one massive cake, a 3-layered tier cake. And then we're going to create the base filling, because this is the idea. We're going to sell cakes. And so we spend to get the best icing, the base bowls, the base this, the base that. And we produce all the filling and the icing. So that's the traditional form. MVP is not this. MVP is, you're going to build cakes. Okay, I might be able just to bake 2 cupcakes.
Yeah.
Let me create a cupcake. So let me sell those 2 cupcakes and see, okay, my goodness, there's a demand for my unique recipe. That unique idea that you have, there's a demand for that. And if you can exchange $1 for it, you will be able to get somebody else who has the same need and the same need and the same need. And then you use the data and the feedback from it, because some will tell you, I didn't quite like the icing. What did you put in there? Margarine. Why don't you try butter? And then you scale it. You scale your MVP, and it actually become bigger cakes. So now you have actually 2 products that branches out of it and eventually go to wedding cakes. And this is what happens with MVP, is a lot of time it branches into various different products and ranges that comes from your MVP. Now, it is the minimum viable product. It's your smallest solution that enables you to test your assumptions. What assumptions you have about it? It's a smaller solution that delivers customer value. This is what it's. You are exchanging value. People will pay you for something that is value. Even the phone is the same. That was the phone. Minimum viable product. It became a mobile phone, and now we have this tactile smartphones. Just to give you another example, Angry Birds. I mean, we all know Angry Birds. I mean, they created MVP after MVP after MVP after MVP. And people think, wow, this is quite cool. These guys just made it big
Yeah,
with
made one
Angry
game
Birds,
and
but
then
you don't
they
know about
well,
this
made it.
52 games. You can go take a look at their first games. It was terrible. But each one became a stepping stone to the next one to get that viable, maximum, market penetrating, worldwide product. And so people don't want to go through the various pivot points. That's why you got to start with minimum. The minimum will give you the feedback. Um, I've walked this
You
journey
also
with awesome.
sorry, I wanted to just grab a session or your attention there. You mentioned minimum time period of about 6 weeks. So is there a secret formula to about 6 weeks, and is there a maximum time before you should sort of get yourself out there and just launch something with what you have, with what's in your hand, basically?
I say 6 weeks, but it differs from industry to industry.
Okay.
It shouldn't be more than 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Should be more than 3 months. Because if you have a team working on a project and you can't put a minimum viable product out there with a team, then you got the wrong philosophy, you got the wrong leadership, you got too much red tape. And I've seen red tape that stops innovation. That's the biggest thing is red tape. And so you got to be able to be flexible in your thinking, and you got to have creative individuals around a table. There's more power in a team, and we in DNA Supersystems and in our different businesses, we are a team that working together on solutions, and there's more dynamics in a team than in one single person.
Yeah.
So 6 weeks, yes, you can easily get a product out in 6 weeks. You guys, we know we have done products in 6 and in 12 weeks,
Sometimes
and
in
you
a
use
week.
those feedback loops. We've done it in a week,
Yeah.
but you use the feedback loop. So it's MVP is the fastest, cheapest thing you can build. That it is it. To get to that thing, what's the fastest, cheapest, and you go test it. And
Yeah.
you get it into a customer's hand, and you get it there fast. I
Yeah.
remember when I did my first with DNA. It wasn't DNA Super. It was just DNA. It was just DNA. And you get it into their hands fast so that you can observe and you can measure the results and the feedback. And with that feedback, you make your product something that customers want to need and they would love to buy. That's where you want to get to. And sometimes the process takes you a little bit of time. And
Yeah.
so you get it there fast. It's a rapid cycle to get it. You get it into the hands of the customer, and the customer helps you develop it. And so when you get that feedback, that measurement, it's actionable metrics. It's metrics that you can use and apply action to. And when that product goes back, it's a product that they want, they love it. And what you don't do there is you have validated the learning experience that you receive from your customers. You have validated the learning. They told you what they want. You validate it and you put it back in the hands and they go,
Yeah.
wow, how did you create this? And so that's what MVP is. It can go way deeper and with all the strategy and the tricks to it. But that's basically in a nutshell.
So um two things I wanted to allude to. The one thing is, let's say you spoke about a team. I think it's more feasible, and more corporates out there work with teams. They already have creatives. They have someone comes up with an idea. Okay, this is what we have in our hand. Let's put a 6 week to 12 week plan out, and we get it out. But for the small entrepreneur, the little SME, the sole proprietor, what does MVP look like for one of them? Let's say they have a new idea, new product launch. Obviously, they work, let's say, with people like freelancers or guys that's not directly linked to a team. What does the MVP look like for
MVP looks the following. It differs from corporates. And corporates, you have a lot of red tape a lot of times. So
Yeah.
you have the immune system of the corporate. So the immune system will always resist change. It will stick with what is best known, and it would resist change on various levels. So within the corporate environment, what you do is you actually need to have two sprint teams. You have a team that's made up of young individuals, creative thinkers, free thinking, your one team, and then you have another team which is made up of your corporates and people who will support that, and it will change the culture of the organization. That's a total different conversation. To be effective within the corporate environment, you need to
Yeah.
create two teams. You need to work on a 12-week sprint, and there are various ways how you can actually innovate and use sprint teams. You use the teams inside. There are skills, abilities in those people that is just phenomenal in your team. But you've got to facilitate the process in the right way, and it's called exponential. It's an exponential thinking that you've got to apply to the model. So corporates is a total different thing. If you're a corporate and you have too much immune system and people are set in their ways, dinosaurs. That is how we done it, and that's how we're going to do it, and we stick to what's safe. And you're looking for innovation, it's better to bring in an innovation team.
Yeah.
That's what we do as well. We're an innovation team to bring in an innovation team, and you actually scale at the edge. You scale at the edge of the organization, and it's an innovation next to the organization, and you start to infiltrate the ideas and use the people for the feedback loops and go into the. But it's better to scale at the edge.
Yeah.
You also get staff on demand. Staff on demand is designers, innovators that you bring in, and you hire them on an independent basis in the corporates. For the small medium enterprise, you already have teams around you. You have your family.
Mm.
You would be surprised if you need the younger vibes. You ask your teenagers. I mean, I have teenagers. They are just phenomenal. The things that they can see. And so it's very easy to create feedback loops with people that you know in your social networks. You create and you ask for feedback with your ideas. You put your ideas down. Don't be so scared to that somebody's going to go steal your idea. Um,
Yeah, because it's your
you
idea.
put it
It's
out
you.
there.
Yeah, you've got the glimpse basically to put it into place,
Yes,
and yeah,
I always call it a glimpse. You get certain glimpses and you've got to act upon your glimpse. A glimpse is something out of your future that you see.
yeah,
So
like that.
for smaller teams, for your SME entrepreneur, um, I would take people who's not um, just in my organization. I'll take people in my organization who is very flexible. You've got to have a flexible mind. People who are flexible and adaptable, not the rigid ones. You use them for feedback loops, but then you create yourself a team where you use it for feedback, but within your mind to get minimum viable product. It doesn't matter if you are in the coffee industry. If you want to get minimum viable product out in the coffee industry and you want to start selling liquid, already made coffee, already made coffee,
Mm,
just, I'm just thinking of this at the moment as I'm sitting. It's already made coffee in a sealed type of foil container, and you just stick it in the microwave, and boom,
there you
you heat it
go.
up, and it's a full on. As you pour it out, it's got like a little milk. These maybe there's something that somebody can run with, and you screw it open, and then you pour yourself. Boom, there we go. That what I just told you is possible
Yeah,
if somebody do the real and you take viable product. So innovation is a total different thing. But so you get the right people and you build the minimum one, and then you get feedback from that. Don't go spend 100,000 rand on that product, but you can do it for $1,000. Get the feedback, and your second loop costs you 4,000 rand, and you make 20,000 rand with the second loop. That's so
yeah.
important.
So it's basically a nail it and scale it loop. So you first nail it, get some feedback, scale it, and then nail it again, and then get some feedback, scale it, and so it goes. So
That's it.
so about a little bit of practical examples out of your life with DNA. We spoke about it earlier before the Zoom, but if you wanted to share maybe how it looked on your
Mm.
side with your whole DNA concept, I mean that was immensely interesting, and just seeing how it
Yeah,
evolved. Yeah,
look, it wasn't part of the session when we spoke about the session, but I'll share about it. And I just bombed this onto a presentation while we were speaking about before we went live. So when I started with the DNA gifts, actually it was the DNA gifts. It was actually just DNA. I thought of this DNA and DNA was for dynamic natural ability. And so I did sessions about your dynamic natural ability. And as I did sessions about it, I actually started going deeper into stuff and doing research and a lot of research. and what other people say about giftings, and looked at personality types. I was facilitating all the different, from Myers-Briggs to DISC to career director, name it. I've been a facilitator for all of them. I studied all these different type of ones. And then the first images that we made is actually, these were young people that I knew. I was still young then. And we took photographs, and they were jumping in the air and taking photographs. And one of these, some of them that they will recognize themselves in these photos that were taken by a friend of mine, Ferdi. But and so the dynamic that I had in it, the dynamic natural ability, was passion on the inside of you, and it burns like a flame. And so the original concept started from the area of passion, aligning your passion with your gifts.
Yeah.
And then I added just the gifts onto it, and then it went to the next one, and then that scaled. I never even thought of using the rainbow, but then as I studied
I'm
how
just checking,
light
John.
works.
Are you sharing already? It's not sharing on my
Yes,
side.
I am.
No,
I'm, oh, I haven't shared on Zoom.
yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm talking about this and I'm not showing you. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So yes, here's the first one. So these are the photos of friends, and so we
Fire.
filled it with flames, and it was really about passion.
That's cool.
Your gift and your passion that must align. And I came up with this gift and passion alignment. And then I realized that gift and character must align. And so the whole thing was concerning this. And I presented it to a lot of people, and the feedback was phenomenal. And it gave me enough feedback to continue with it further. A lot of people have fantastic ideas and they get great feedback, but they never continue to the next pivot point. And so then I didn't even know about it. But then as I started studying light, the concept of light and how light works, and white light is made up of the 7 different frequencies
Yeah.
of the rainbow, and the power of color coming together and paralleling it, and a lot of things with it. I actually started to, this was the next part of it as we went into feedback loops. And then I really went on a quest to really go and delve deep into what we now know as the gifts. And then it developed into a very good friend of mine, phenomenal guy, Ferdi. Learned so much from him. Um, he actually developed these faceless little Teletubby ones.
How
And
long?
with
It's
everything that
just for interest sake. So how long did a feedback loop and a next implementation on each of these sessions take you? Let's say from the flame guys to the stick men to the Teletubbies, or did it depend?
I did the flame mean, and I did feedback loops in it, and people were excited, and some people were like, "Yes, that's wonderful," because some people it's amazing, and then some people I was looking for the people that gave me criticism.
Yeah,
Said,
but
it would be
constructive
nice.
criticism. What? Yeah.
One person said to me, it would be nice, if I can distinguish them. They all look on fire. I don't know how to distinguish them,
Okay.
and that feedback loop told me I've got to make a clear distinguish between them. And so I use all the feedback loop. I love feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions, because someone who
Mhm.
thinks you don't need feedback, you're actually in the area of ignorance. Feedback is a phenomenal thing that can help us. And so, but it eventually came to this place where they're faceless. And as I was developing through it, sometimes it took 6 weeks, sometimes 12 weeks, sometimes, and it was developing on various levels. I mean, this is just the startup. I started with the gifts. I just started with, you have passion. Your gift is connected to your passion. That's where I started. And then I went from passion to the inside of you, there's a motivation. And then I started researching motivation. I got to studies on motivational gifts. And then as I use some of that and incorporate my own ideas and feedback loops, eventually came here. And then what we did is somebody looked at in a feedback loop and said, but these are emotionless. And I said, yes, but they're on the inside of you. It's like a color that's on the inside of you. And we actually created faces for them. Um, why is it not showing? Sorry, the screen shares just stopped. Let me just go back there. I don't know why they stopped now. But eventually I'll share again.
I just
Eventually, to make a long story, because I can show you about 80 slides of
yeah. Where it
how
all
we went
began and
through
how it went
various
out.
stages. No, strange. It doesn't want to show. So can you see the screen?
I can see the screen now. Yes.
Okay, so it doesn't want to allow me to present it. I don't know why it's, but eventually we came up with, and I just dragged this quickly over onto the screen while
Yeah.
we were preparing for this. And eventually it came and became superheroes. And I sat one day in a session with somebody, and the person said to me, so you're actually showing us the abilities on the inside of us that makes us super. And I went like, yeah, I do. So I jotted it down and I went, and I first thought the super gifts, that sounded super gifts. And
No, that's awesome.
I sat down with it, and somebody else said, and I used the words within the next session, and somebody said to me, so super gifts, like I'm a superhero. I said, you're right. And I used that, and I thought, superhero. And I put down this whole thing about superheroes, and I sat in a session with somebody else. And the person said to me, the one type of gifting is like Captain America on the inside. It's intrinsic gifting. You don't need a suit like Iron Man.
Wow.
And Iron Man's gifting is all on the outside. And I said, you're right. Because at that stage, I did develop our next type of gifting, which was called the brilliances. And the brilliances and the gifts, all these gifts were one component, but I started separating from feedback loops. And that person said to me, the Captain America and the Iron Man, one is external, one's internal. And they were giving me feedback of their revelation of what I was presenting to them. And I went back to my whole document as I developed, and I saw that it's another glimpse, it's another train of thought that I've got to pursue. And so eventually, another friend of mine, Mansour, phenomenal. I mean, he created all these little men. But now the amazing thing about this is that all these men can move. They've got separate components. So all these men can be animated and move and turn around and walk in animation that we can do. So there's the male and the female versions of it. And then I remember I sat in a session with somebody, and I explained the giftings and their brilliances, and the person said to me, so you're number one and number two, what superhero is that? I was like, asking, and in my mind, because I've put in so many years, I do understand the concept of gifting and potential and passion and alignment and performance and flow, and my mind could put the algorithm together of these two separate. And I said to the person that's called the president, and I made it up in my mind there.
Yeah, but something was born out of feedback.
Something was born out of that. And he asked me,
a next MVP, a new minimum viable product.
A new minimum viable product. And so he asked me concerning his two gifts, and I made up the superhero right there, and it was nailed it on the spot. And that opened up some more deals in terms of corporate presentations and big business with various people in Cape Town, up in Johannesburg, in Pretoria. Eventually, it opened up for me stuff, even doors that opened up with business networks, Equality Business Network, and it all came from that session. And then I developed the super with feedback loops from people who already have that gifts in my community. And so we added them together, the yellow with the blue, and it became a yellow dominant with a blue, and it has, and so it just developed. It branched out. Everything branched out through each feedback loop. This was still the brilliances, the external brilliances, and what it looks now, and what it's every part of it. In the beginning, when we had superheroes, we never had a hexachron. All these components were separate things within our approach, how we were doing things, but everything was made out of feedback loops. And eventually, it went from the super DNA, the brilliances were developed, the super strengths took about 6 months, because it's the strengths of, it's a real story to develop it with feedback loop. The super skills were developed because of the whole superhero theme, that we looked at the Justice League team and the Avenger team and seen what are all the skills that they display to actually fight villains. And then we looked at the skills that you will need for this decade of difference from 2020 to 2030 to let you accelerate. And we incorporate all those skills in there. And this superhero idea is the hybrids. And then the career compass was developed because we saw how all these things come together. It gives you something that nothing else can give you. Give you direction, understanding, awareness, align your purpose and your passion and everything. And we put that into a career compass. Now, the career compass doesn't work without all these
All
other
those.
components. You can't even do that
That's
assessment
amazing.
with all those components. And then out of that was developed the central definite purpose. And so it just carries on. But I'm just sharing a couple of things. I mean,
Mm,
some of our stuff is developed to such a place. But the whole time, the MVP is there, and then you test it. You test it. Can I get $1 for it? You do. Want to take note, take the feedback. And sometimes you will have to give things away for free
yeah.
to get the feedback. You actually, there's an exchange of value. That feedback has a monetary value. You got to remember that feedback gives you value, and that value you incorporate into your product. And once you go into market again, so sometimes when people launch their product, people go, "Wow, these guys were lucky." And you see somebody think that was lucky. No, it's sometimes a process
It took
of
5 years.
feedback, MVP,
Yeah.
MVP, MVP, MVP. Now, to get to a marketable product really could take you up to a year. Depends on what industry you are.
Yeah.
Uh, it could take you, it could take you 6 months if you use MVP correctly. It could take 5 or 10 years. It all depends on what
Yeah.
it is. But the process, I always say, trust the process.
That's basically MVP can also stand for minimum valuable product. So what's the least amount of value that you can package and then maybe give away, taking it back to the cupcake and your nearest feedback loop, your family. I bake this cupcake. How does it taste? Is it awesome?
Mm.
Yes, no. Feedback next week, another one. Oh, this is much better. And the third week, here you go. There's a product that you can take to market and you can run with it.
I would say if we call it minimum valuable, I would call it maximum
Or maximum
value
value. Yeah. Okay.
for
That's
the amount of money that you have to spend on this thing.
yes.
I'm
Okay.
gonna put $100 into this thing, but I'm gonna give people $700 worth of value.
Yeah.
When you think that, what's the maximum value that I can put in here? Because I'm not gonna sell it now for what I'm really gonna take it to market when I get all my feedback loops.
Yes.
And so that's very important that you pack it with value. And I know we're going a bit over time, but here's something so important, and this is what it ticks me off. I see all these marketers, and they bring up their landing pages, and and you see this ad on Facebook, and you click on it, you go to the landing page, and they promise you the world, and set up this, and set up this system, and set up this funnel system, and set up this, and if you have this pages, you will make billions of dollars. And I've made $300,000
Yeah.
in the last 2 months. If it sounds too good to be true,
It
it's
usually
definitely
is.
not true. It usually is. And so there's a lot of scammy thinking to put up a page, and this is what people do. And actually, they hurt the industry. They put up a page, advertise a product that does not exist yet. This could be, especially in the coaching and training and all that type of industry. And some people, they use a lot of money and they bomb money at that ad to get people onto that page. That page is wonderfully copywritten and it looks everything. And the people purchase it. And this has happened to a lot of people. It might have even happened to you, Andre. And you purchase
Mm.
it. And then what you get is it's not packed with value. It's actually a bit more plagiarism, where it's
Yeah.
copy and paste from other people. And so there's this scammy type of thinking. It doesn't come from original inspiration. It doesn't come from something that's given to you that you see and you develop onto it. And so there's all these fast tracking, fast food mentality. And the thing is, you do not deliver value. In the end, you actually hurt your name.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys normally climb onto the next scam and the next scam and the next scam.
The next shiny thing.
Yes, the next shiny thing. And don't go that route. Go the route of developing MVP1, MVP2, MVP3, MVP4. Once you get to MVP5, on minimum every time, I'm telling you, you will have something that the customers already told you, I want this, I'm willing to pay for it. And then you can go into intensity,
Yeah.
really into the intensity of marketing and creating an audience and building a tribe.
Yeah. So I know we're a bit longer than we anticipated to go, but two last things I would like to just ask from you. Let's say you do a minimum viable test and it doesn't work. Do you try it once or twice more, or when do you shut it down? And then the second question is a bit of practical advice. Let's say a one sentence advice of getting your MVP out there.
All right. So the first thing before you spend any money is, I believe in good counsel. is feedback loops, people who care about you, is to go to the people who care about you and tell them your idea.
Mm.
Get the feedback. Sometimes we have ideas like, I don't know, there's some strange ideas, and we have our own bias concerning certain things. And ask the people who care about you, about your idea, and give you first feedback, that you first have feedback to create your concept. And you ask them, do you think would you buy something like this?
Mm.
Once you get people who tell you, I would, then go create your product. If there's a definite need, the second thing that you need to do is research if there's a need for it. It doesn't help.
Yeah.
I develop binocular glasses and there's no need for it. I develop glasses, you put it on, and it becomes binoculars. It might be a fantastic idea, but there might not be a need for it. Um, maybe that's a fantastic idea for somebody, but it might sound like a wonderful thing, but in practice, it's in the practice.
Mm.
Yeah, that's to answer your first question. Sorry, what was your second question?
Second one is just a one sentence word of advice, or a last, let's say, call out of do this, get that done, basic instructions of example or something. Yeah.
My word of advice is to understand your MVP is seed. It's pure seed. It's pure potential. And you are seeing something in that seed that other people are not seeing. You've got to be able to have the seed that's given to you.
Mm.
What's given to you is in seed form. There's something that you see that other people don't see in that seed. And you've got to go with that glimpse. You've got to go with that, what you see. And sometimes when you go with what you see, and you will find this from a lot of people that have developed stuff, and people told them it's not possible, you won't be able to do it, there's not enough money, etc. And once you know it's given to you, when you see that, you plant it. The first thing that you look for then, MVP2, is the first life that comes through the ground, through the
First
soil.
little sprout.
First little leaf.
Mm.
That first little leaf is that $1 or the $2 that you get.
Mm.
And then it grows a little bit bigger. And then you get the $100.
Yeah.
And then it grows and you get the $1,000. But as it develops, it gets to a place where suddenly it creates fruit. So any seed that you plant goes through a cycle of where it's harvest, where the potential, the fruit is there, the gift
Mm.
comes. And once the fruit is there, people will pay for that fruit.
Yeah. That's an
People will
awesome
pay for it.
analogy. Yeah.
That so,
Because
so stick to the process,
yeah.
water it, stick with it, even if it takes 3 years. Don't jump from one seed. I throw it. "Oh, this is a good idea," and you have the first MVP. You have the little, and I've seen this, and you have the little leaf, and they go, "I only got $1 and nothing more." Then that they kill that plant.
Yeah.
And so everywhere, your whole life, there's little plants everywhere, but there's not one thing that you really develop and develop. Go
Yes.
take a look at all the products that branch from different products. I mean, just Amazon was just a website for selling books.
Books. Yeah.
Now Amazon is web servers and services and programming languages
And
and
space.
everything. AI tools. I mean, everything branched from a one concept
Yeah.
of selling books. And so, but it's got to water that thing, because the full potential is always, and here's the next thing of MVP. Once you created a product that becomes fruitful, that tree that stands, actually some of that fruit start falling onto the ground, and that's where your next branches of products. So Amazon grew to a place where its potential of selling books and it became DVDs, and that came to the fruition. But if some of those fruit fell to the ground, and it sprouted up as web servers and programming and AI and everything. I mean, Amazon does just everything about now.
Yeah.
I
A
mean,
to Z.
unfortunately,
That's basically, isn't that part of their name? A to Z. Yeah.
yes, it's part of it, and it's like a technocrat at the moment.
Mm.
It's good, but it's dangerous as well. That you
Yeah.
can have a technocratic society that can actually manipulate everything, because it can kill
Yep.
small business.
Yeah, I put a lot of book publishers out of business. I watched a documentary the other day.
Exactly.
Yeah, so the only time that you abandon a seed if it doesn't come up at all. So then you have to also just take notice and say, yeah, don't
If you
waste
can't
water.
sell it,
Yeah.
if you can't sell it to one person, or one person is willing to exchange any money for it, abandon it.
Abandon it.
But
Go on
if
to
you
the
can
next
sell
one.
one, if you can get $1, there's a business case.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I got $1. That means I can get two. If you can get two, you can get four.
Yeah.
If you don't get four, go take a look at the feedback loop. Why am I not doubling up to four? Then you go back at the feedback loop. And so it does that, but you've got to stick with the thing. You can't abandon ship. Once you pursue it, don't abandon it.
Yep.
If you want to do marriage seminars and focus on marriage, let me tell you, there's a lot of market for marriage. If you want to do this or whatever you want to pursue, you've got to use your feedback loops consistently. That's how you become the expert in the industry.
Expert in your industry. Thanks, guys. I think that's our time for now. We didn't want to keep you guys so long. Thank you so much, Lionel Goldberg, for our custom Zoom backgrounds that he designed for us. If you guys wanted to get in contact with him for a custom design, and then also go have a look at our DNA Supersystems website, where we do funnel paging, software, website development, digital transformation. Go have a look at our super team. If we can be of value and of service to help you create your own MVP, we'll be back next week with a couple of other sessions. I think I'm gonna do a poll on the page if you guys would like, and give out a couple of topics that we've set out that we wanted to discuss. And like John said in the beginning, if you want to hear about something specifically, please leave a comment in this, and we'll get back to you. Any closing remarks from your side, John?
Yeah, I think we've walked the route for innovation, um, and sometimes it's better to bring in a team to work with you.
Yeah,
that has walked that route. A team that understands the technology, that understand what technology you must use. A team that can actually help you to scale your product, work with you. That's where we come in. We also have the super team with Supersystems. We have our own funnel software and marketing software, and we're here to actually provide service to people, to help you get your product also into the market.
yeah.
And so, especially in terms of innovation, and really take your product into the market. That's what we specialize in. And so people can go take a look at Supersystems and the super team and the services that we do provide. I mean, it's from content creation to various things that we have. And also we have an option where you can book a free session with us. You can just go to our website, book a free session. There's a booking system, and you book with a team, and you present your concept, and you say, I want to do this, I need this, I have this, what do I need? How do I go about it? And what we do is we give free innovation advice. And you'll find out we don't hold back, we give it. We give you all the what and the why. We can give that all to you. The how, unfortunately, you will have to pay for it.
Yep.
Because it would be a service that we render to you in creation or something, or we connect you with somebody that can do it. If we can't help you, we are connected in a network, and we connect you with people that can help you. But that's the value that we'll give. So we give the free innovations sessions where we exchange a lot of value with people that we just help them. A lot of sessions is just to help people, and because we want to really see people bring change. We're living in a society where we all got to change our mind and the way that we look at the world. And so that's it from our side. Go book a session if you need any help, any advice, or you got a concept and you want to work with us, we can help you.
Cool, guys. Thanks so much, John, for your time and for your advice and wisdom, sharing your life's work struggles, MVPs, and feedbacks. It's awesome. It's a lot that anyone can learn about. And yeah, guys, good luck with your products. Good luck with your MVPs. We're looking forward to see some of them pop up. Maybe we'll be part of the feedback loops. You never know. But we'll see you guys next week. Have a great one.
Fantastic.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Andre.
Cheers. Bye.